In this lesson, we're going to be talking about how to write whole rests, half rests, and quarter rests. We're going to do this in two parts. The first part, I'm going to talk and I'm going to point, and I'm going to break things down for you. And in the second part, I'm actually going to get on the iPad and write the rests in real time so you can do it with me in your workbook to make sure we are all on the same page on exactly how to write rests. Using pages from my #1 bestseller book, The Best Music Theory Book for Beginners, that sold over 5,000 copies. My name is Dan Spencer. I'm your music mentor. The full playlist with over 100 music theory lessons is in the video description. I recommend watching them in order. And now, back to the lesson. So, let's get started talking about whole rest. So, whole rest is a small little rectangle, and it hangs down from the fourth line of the staff. The rectangle is the same length as a closed note head. Don't make your rectangles like this long. And the rest hangs down 50% of the way between the third and the fourth lines of the staff. Let's zoom in and take a look at that. Yeah, you can see that space between line 3 and line 4. Right here. Whoop. Yeah, right there. You see that space between line 3 and line 4? It's about 50-50. 50% taken up by the rest, and then 50% taken up by space. Pretty even division there. Also, we got some ketchup and mustard colors going on. Didn't plan it, but glad it happened. Now, in 4/4, you'll write whole rests at the beginning of measures on beat 1. So you'll write it the same place you wrote the whole note. Whereas in 3/4, you're actually going to write the whole rest in the middle of the measure. Now, remember we talked about in the last lesson that a whole rest can be used in any time signature to show an entire measure of silence. Well, sure enough, we can also do that in 3/4. We can show that there's a whole rest, and even though you're only supposed to have 3 beats worth of content in a measure of 3/4, you can have the whole rest in there to show that it's taking up the entire 3 beats of silence. That's just one of those weird music theory rules. Okay, let's talk about half rests. Half rests are small little rectangles that rise or sit on top of the third line of the staff, line number 3. The rectangle is the same length as the closed note head, which is also the same length as the whole rest. And just like the whole rest took up 50% of the space between line 4 and line 3, again, the half rest is going to take up half the space. So you can see that half the space is open for mustard or other condiments. Okay. Lastly but not leastly, we have our quarter rests. Now, quarter rests, I'm going to walk you through how to write them, but I'm going to talk you through it the first time. So you're going to start a diagonal line going down to the right, below line 5, attaching to line 4. Then you write a diagonal line to the left, connecting line 4 to 3, then to the right, ending before line 2, and then we hook around, ending before line 1. Don't worry, I know that was complicated. I'm going to walk you through how to do it. Also, your workbook walks you through how to do it step by step. Don't worry, I got you. I'll see you in the next lesson where I'm actually going to write the whole rest, half rest, and quarter rest and talk you through it as we go. I'll see you there. This is part 2 on how to write whole rests, half rests, and quarter rests. In your workbook, you have a bunch of exercises where you can actually trace the rests, practice writing them, looking at them, copying them. That's all well and good, but sometimes having someone actually show you and talk you through it in real time is super duper helpful. So, whole rests always hang down from line 4. So let's count up 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, you could write a whole rectangle. I like to make my life easy and just write 3 sides of a rectangle. Oh, well, we brought it home. That's okay. That's a whole rest. I'll show you one more time. Zoomed in real close. You can either write 3/4 of a rectangle, or you can bring it home, color it in, about the same size as a closed note head would be for a quarter note. Make sure that you leave that space, that all-important space, here. you want to have 50%. Half the space here is taken up by the rest. Half the space is taken up by, well, more space or ketchup, if we could continue our condiments theme from the last lesson. So let's talk about half rests. Half rests are basically the same thing as a whole rest, except instead of hanging down from line 4, they rise up from line 3. I know it can be confusing because they're so close to each other. Just think, whole rests get 4 counts. They hang down from the 4th line. And then I don't have a fancy thing for half rests, so we're just going to move and groove with that. So half rests, again, either make your rectangle or 3/4 of a rectangle. See, 3/4 of a rectangle will just look like this. And you use that extra line. And then you use line 3 of the staff as the 4th line of the rectangle. Then you just color it in. That's it. Make sure you leave that space right up top. You got to leave space. You do not want to see your whole rest looking, or your half rests looking like this. You see how that takes up the entire space? Now, once it takes up the entire space and I go, okay, is that a half rest or a whole rest? You'll have no idea because it's taking up the whole space, so we can't tell the difference. Okay, lastly, quarter rests. Okay, so we're going to start under line 5 of the staff, go down to line 4. Then we're going to go diagonally to line 3. Then we're going to come back to just above line 2 and then circle around and done. Okay, I'm going to walk you through that one again. So we start below line 5, down to the right to line 4. Then from 4 to 3, back the way we came. Then from 3 to just above 2, and then hook around to the left. Oh, that's a nice quarter rest. We'll do one more quarter rest. Here we go. Below 5 to 4, 4 to 3, 3 to just above 2, and hook around. I will see you in the next lesson. Oh, but it's not over yet. Click here to watch the next video lesson or up here for the full video playlist.